Um, as far as Israel's concerned, a lot of people are saying there might be like another stalemate. So, okay. So like, I don't know. I think in a way that's good because I think we're just waiting for Mashiach at this point.
Yeah.
What's better, Mashiach or like having Bibi back, who basically, this is how we got into this predicament in the first place. Okay, wonderful. We're going to have a bunch of these kahanas who are just going to be like, the media is going to bash them every single second and they're not going to be able to get anything accomplished. Or I don't know, the Haredim. It's just like, it's going to be, the majority of Israel is ready for these people. They want these people, but the media have other plans. So, the UN has other plans. Not that we care, but I'm saying like the EU has other plans. Democrats have other plans. So
it's all a replay for me. That's all it is.
Oh, of course it is.
It's just it's just a rerun,
Yeah, of course a rerun. Of course. But I want to play to you, speaking of which, I want to play to you, for you, Rabbi Kahana. And for the folks at home, people will understand why Rabbi Kahana they eventually banned his party. And I suspect, back when he was running, what's called the threshold, the amount of votes you needed to get into Knesset was way lower, meaning some of the smaller parties could get in with like, one seat, one person. So Meir Kahana was like the one seat that got in his party, in the Kach party. So after that, I think since then, they basically banned his party as a terror organization. I think Peres did it, Shimon Peres. And they did that. And then they raised the threshold, thinking that nobody's going to vote for these guys ever again. Obviously, they're wrong because they're about to get 13 seats or 12 seats in the Knesset, assuming a government is formed. But I want people to listen. This is a 30-second video of Rebbe Kahana in his 1984 election campaign.
And then after that, I'm going to read the next section of To Eliminate the Opiate.
Cool. And then we'll wrap up. All right, cool.
Positions and Auschwitzes and so on. Well, thank you, but no thanks. And so now we intend to live in our country, just like everyone else does. I'll be overjoyed to create an organization to help the so-called Palestinians create their own state somewhere in Pakistan. But in the meantime, they have 22 states, and I have only one state. And I have no intention of losing that state. And I really don't give a damn what anyone says.
States. We thank everybody for the Auschwitzes and all these other inquisitions and all these other wonderful things. The Palestinians want a state. If they want a state, they can have it in Pakistan. Meanwhile, they have 22, the Arabs, Muslims, and I have but one. And I don't really care who says what. Like, why? I don't understand even these pro-Israel people go against this guy.
Because they're not pro-Israel.
I don't know. Even the right wing, even the people who are like super right wing that I know.
Dude, again.
He's the like what is your
Greg, we go back to this all the time.
I know we spoke about this, yeah.
No, I'm just saying it's like these are like, for instance, like the definition of what an intelligent person is, right? Or the definition of what a right winger is. Or anybody who has anything to say that is essentially effective, that can and will result in Jewish people doing mitzvot and living in the land of Israel is an extremist. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's anybody who actually says anything that is actually effective, that can potentially lead to a real good result has to be an extremist. Has to be. I mean, that's how he's going to be viewed by anybody who's just a bullshit artist who just wants to kind of like tread water, you know what I mean? Or just like spin their tires without going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. He's the lead. He was not an extremist at all. He was one of the few people who had very bland ideas, really, very, very straightforward, very milquetoast in reality. You know what I mean? He just said stuff that, like, look, we're Jews. We have a country. We want to stay in the country. We're not going to allow people, pretenders, to come and to try to claim our territory as their rightful land. We don't have any other place to go. We don't even have the option of not having a country, and we're not going to let you do it. What did he say? That's crazy here. What did he say that's extreme? What did he say that makes people go like, oh, why don't you? Oh, these guys are so. I don't understand. Like, what did he say? It's like, imagine you have folks at home. Imagine you have a house, right? Yeah. And you don't have any other place to go. That's your house.
Yeah.
Okay. Then somebody comes and says, well, wait a minute. I think that this is my house. My ancestors used to live here. Not true. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to take at least half your house.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the part with the bathroom and the kitchen. Okay. And the part that is, you know, that has the best security, right? You're going to take the part with no bathroom, no kitchen, and you can't even lock the windows.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not acceptable. We can't live in that state. We can't live in that situation.
Yeah.
It's not even an option to live. You're basically saying, look, we're not going to you're trying to hypnotize us into accepting a reality where we have to just go quietly to die just to avoid any confrontation. And we don't want to get into arguments. Yeah. So we're just going to go die because we want to avoid arguments.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to cause trouble. We don't want to seem like extremists. Yeah. So we'll just do what you say. Everybody will pretend that it's all for the best and that you're really doing something nice for us when you're actually killing us. And we'll just go die. And then, but at least there'll be no turmoil. At least no boat rocking. At least you won't be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. So anybody who says, you know what, I don't think that that's going to work for me.
Yeah.
I think I'll stay home. And, you know, if you try to do something like what you were planning, I'm afraid I'm going to have to be forced. You're going to force me to defend myself, which could result in tragedy.
Yeah.
That's what Kahana is.
Yeah.
Find any statement, any one of you critics, any one of you center-right, reasonable Jews, please take one of his actual statements and tell me what's extreme about it. I beg you. And then get back to me.
Yeah. Even about Arabs and all that kind of stuff.
I forget about that. I'm talking about Jews. Right now I'm talking to Jews, reasonable, quote unquote, reasonable, balanced, non-extremist Jews.
Fair and balanced, yeah. Can I read to you the composition of the Knesset after the 1984 Israeli election?
Sure.
Let me read to you. Obviously, you have 120 seats. 44 seats went to this thing called alignment, which is basically the Labor Party, which was headed by, at the time, Shimon Peres. 41 seats went to Likud, which is headed by Yitzhak Shamir. I think Shamir ended up forming if I'm not mistaken, he ended up forming the government. He was able to form the government. That's why he became prime minister. You got four. So now this is at the time when the threshold was lower, 1.2%, as opposed to today's 2.75, I believe. So 5 seats for this thing called Tchiyat Somet, which is like it was like a ultra nationalistic party, like kind of secular but secular right wing, like mini Likud. Then you had Mavdal, which is like basically the National Religious, with today's National Religious. Then Hadash, that's communists, 4 seats. So you had 5 seats for these Somet, this right wing, 4 seats for Mavdal, and then 4 seats for the commies, 4 seats for Shas, the Sephardi, the brand new party at that time.
Yeah.
3 seats for Shinui, which was like similar to Labor. 3 seats for Ratz, like also civil rights, left wing, whatever. 3 seats for Yachad, Ezer Weitzman, centrist. I don't know what the hell that means. 2 seats for PLFP, People's Liberation, Palestinian Liberation Front for whatever. Progressive List for, Progressive List for Peace. Okay. I think it was Arab, Muhammad, whatever his name is. Agudat Israel, which is also like basically what today is United Torah Judaism, 2 seats.
Yeah.
Morasha, which is also another religious political party, sort of Dati Leumi, 2 seats. And then you had some like Mizrahi Jewish party, 1 seat. And then Rebbe Kahana, 1 seat. And then Ometz, which is like another right-wing party. You had like a bunch of small right-wing parties, another 1 seat. I think Shamir was able to cobble together a coalition with these people. So Kahana had 1 seat. It was him. And then 1988, I think it was here, the Kach party. Let's read about the Kach party. Basically, see, it says, however, it was barred. So he earned a single seat in 1984. However, it was barred from participating in the next election, 1988, under the revised Knesset elections law, banning parties that incited racism. After Kahana's assassination in 1990, the party split, with Kahana high, breaking away from the main Kach faction. The party was also barred from standing in 1992, and both organizations were banned outright in 1994. So both groups are considered terrorist organizations, blah, 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 in all these countries. They're believed to have overlapping core membership with a fewer than 100 people, with links to modern party Otzma Yehudit. Otzma is headed by, what's his name? Ben Gvir.
Yeah. Who
joined with now National Religious, and now they're going to get 12 seats. 12 seats, maybe 11, 13. But, it says, here. Banned from running, here you go. So he says, as his political career progressed, Kahana became increasingly isolated in the Knesset. His speeches boycotted by Knesset members were made to an empty parliament, except for the duty chairman and the transcriptionist. Kahana's legislative proposals and motions of no confidence against the government were ignored or rejected by fellow Knesset members. Kahana often pejoratively called other Knesset members Hellenists. Not wrong.
They are.
In Hebrew, a reference from Jewish religious texts describing ancient Jews who assimilated into Greek culture after Judea's occupation.
Yeah. Also known as the Erev Rav.
Exactly. In 1987, Rabbi Kahana opened the yeshiva, Harayon HaYehudi, like the Jewish idea, with funding from U.S. supporters from the teaching of the authentic Jewish idea. Despite the boycott, polls show that Kahana's Kach would have likely received 3 to 4 seats in the coming. Dude, they felt that they sensed that he was going to eventually become prime minister, like in the 90s.
Yeah, that's right.
Kept going. In the coming November 1980 elections, dude, he was like becoming very popular with like Sephardim, Mizrahi Jews. You know what he said? He's like, why do Mizrahi Jews vote for me? Because they lived under Arabs and they don't want to do that again. You know, he's like, they're not brainwashed by college professors. So he says, earlier polls forecasting as many as 12 seats, possibly making Kach the 3rd largest party. Like today, it's going to be in response to the election of Kach's single representative and following up on the recommendation of the Supreme Court, aka the biggest anti-Semites in Israel. The Knesset passed an amendment to the elections law which stated a list of candidates should not participate in an election Knesset of objections or actions expressly by implication, including one of the following: negation of the existence of the state of Israel as a state of the Jewish people, negation of democratic character of the state, incitement to racism. As a result, Kach was disqualified from running in 1988 by the Central Elections Committee. The party once again appealed the decision, with Kahana claiming the security needs were justification for discrimination against Arabs. This time, the appeal was unsuccessful, with the court stating that the aims and action of Kach were manifestly racist. To protest their electoral ban, a group of Kach activists founded the Sikari terrorist group in 1989. Their protests took the form of arson and graffiti attacks against the Jewish left-wing political figures. So they're talking about his, and then talking about his, what's it called, assassination. Yeah, it says, with his son Benjamin Zev Kahana.
I want to know, you know that movie Sicario?
Yeah, nothing to do with.
I mean, how could it not?
I mean,
whatever. I'll look into that separately, see if I can find any connection.
Listen to this. Following both parties noting their support of a 1992 grenade attack on the Butcher's Market of Jerusalem's Old City, Government Minister Amnon Rubinstein asked the Attorney General to launch a criminal proceedings against both Kahana and Baruch Marzel on the charge of incitement to terrorism. In 1994, both groups were banned outright by the Israeli cabinet on 1948 anti-terrorism laws, following statements in support of Baruch Goldstein's massacre. You know that Baruch Goldstein prevented a terrorist attack.
I know. I talked all about it.
He did what it says in Sanhedrin. Like when somebody comes to kill you, kill them first.
Okay, we have to take a quick sidebar because you mentioned Baruch Goldstein.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I heard this from people like literally on the ground.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Yeah. So when I was there, so Baruch Goldstein, this is before I came to, like a year or two before.
He was a doctor who helped Arabs.
He was a doctor of the Hebron Jewish community.
Yeah.
Okay. He's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay. He was a meek, mild-mannered, righteous person who healed anybody that came to him. Okay. Now, I was told the following. So when he was portrayed in the media as a maniac terrorist who mowed down peaceful Arabs praying at the gravesite of, who was it?
This is what they write.
It wasn't Yosef.
Wikipedia.
No, it wasn't Yosef. It was the Mara Hamakpela.
Machpelah. This is what they wrote in. This is what they wrote in. What's it called?
You're gonna read a quote.
No, this is Wikipedia. Was an Israeli-American mass murderer, religious extremist, and physician who perpetrated in 1994 Cave of the Patriarchs massacre in Hebron, killing 29 and wounding 125.
Okay.
Palestinian Muslim worshippers.
Okay, so here are facts from this case. Okay. He received. Okay, so there was a several days before this occurred. Okay. Yes, he really did. He went and he killed those Arab men. He did that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what happened. A number of days before, this is around Purim time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. I mean, February, yeah. Adar, February 25th. Mm-hmm.
Can you look up if that was Purim?
Let's see. February 25th.
Because that's, I just want to, just for the sake of my memory.
Yes, 15th of Adar.
That's when he did it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So several days before this happened, him being a doctor, so, people who are either, in an accident or sick, they're brought to him, anybody from the area. In this particular instance, a young, pregnant Jewish woman, girl really, was brought to him.
Yeah.
With stab wounds all over her body. Hundreds of stab wounds. Okay. He worked tirelessly to save her life and was not able to do so. On many of the stab wounds were flyers.
Yeah.
That were, slapped onto this because the blood, will make it sticky. Right. Yeah. So they murdered this pregnant Jewish girl. She died. The baby died, of course.
Yeah.
And they used her as a advertisement billboard. Okay. Where there was somebody made flyers saying there's going to be a massacre on Purim. Okay. They're planning a massacre on Purim. They were preparing people. They were gloating about it. Okay. I'm not sure why they felt that they could gloat about it, but the atmosphere politically at that time, I think Barak was the prime minister at that time.
1994. I think so. Yeah.
Barak is the worst of the Erev Rav.
Yeah.
He, pure leftism.
Actually, he was not. He was the prime minister in 1999, but I think the prime minister at that.
I think he was prime minister twice, wasn't he?
No, he was only prime minister once for 2 years. It wasn't Barak. I'll tell you exactly who it was. It was.
Wouldn't even surprise me if it was Netanyahu.
It wouldn't be surprised me either. Actually, you know what's funny? 1 second. Preceded.
Could have been Perez, maybe.
1 second. Perez preceded by 1 second. Prime Minister. It was Rabin. Yeah.
So the atmosphere was all about concession, was all about moving the Jews, giving away land. The Jews who were living in the famous biblical areas, the really, really Jewish parts of Israel.
Yeah.
Okay. It was time to make their life really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's, by the way, for the folks at home, that's the Israeli government's way of manipulating geopolitics in Israel, where if the political will, meaning those who are the Erev Rav, the leftists in power, when it suits their purpose, it's time to withdraw Jews from certain territories. So all they do is not protect them anymore. They don't give them government assistance. They don't give them military support or security. They just make it impossible for them to live. They throw them to the wolves.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's another one of these things that I believe that this whole thing was done with the aid of the Israeli government at that time.
Yeah.
To get, against the Jewish people in Hebron and those type of areas. Okay. That's why the Arabs who did this had the balls to do it in the way that they did it. Very gloating.
Yeah.
When Baruch Goldstein came to the local military authorities, security authorities for the area, and said, this is what has happened. There is a young Jewish woman who was horribly murdered, pregnant, right? She died, the baby died. They used her as a pincushion / billboard for their flyers. He brought him the bloody flyers. He was ignored entirely. The flyers spoke about a planned massacre of the Jewish community of Hebron and Kiryat Arba, that whole area.
Yeah.
Okay, that there's going to be an entire group of Arabs, in fact, 29 of them. Okay, that were planning to do it, and it was going to be on Purim, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so he exhausted all attempts to notify the authorities and to have anybody who had in the position of government to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And he was left with absolutely no choice except to do what he did. Now, the way it was reported is that he shot these quote unquote peaceful worshipers and then killed himself. The fact is that he was killed with a rifle round that was not the caliber of his rifle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's already, it's like, just peel away the slightest layer of the story, of the official story.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, just brush it away slightly, and you already see that it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I spoke to people, the people that I spoke to about him when I was in the area, locals, people who live there. We're talking about a range of people from all different types of religious Jews to completely non-religious Jews who come to the area, like the bus driver, right? Who was a completely secular Israeli, but he didn't live in the area, but he traveled there constantly because it was part of his bus route, and he did tours. He knew Baruch Goldstein personally. This is the last person anybody could ever imagine that would just become a ranting lunatic and just go and shoot down unarmed people.
Yeah.
He spent his life saving life, including Arab life.
Yeah.
Okay. This just goes to show you, well, now with the COVID thing, I think a lot of Jewish people could understand how the Israeli government could do something so evil as what they did to Baruch Goldstein.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's not such a stretch for them to believe because of what happened with COVID.
Yeah.
They essentially poisoned their whole country.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not such a huge leap for them.
Now the crazy thing is that there's like a rise of the right wing now. With these. Everybody's worried about that religious Zionists are going to be like the third most powerful party in Israel. All these media, the media in Israel is like shaking in their boots. But the sad part is that these same guys, like Smotrich, he was the one pushing this Green Pass, So it's sad. It doesn't. It's like
dude, there's no one there. There's no one.
No,
there.
It's bittersweet. It doesn't even matter if these guys get in.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't even freaking matter anymore.
Right. It's not. It's all it is it's a Facebook. The whole government, all the world governments, especially the Western governments, are a Facebook political identity test. Where do you fall on the spectrum?
Where's your blue check mark?
You know what I'm talking about. Those tests where like, where do you land on the graph?
Yeah, that's all it is.
Like left of center, right of center.
Yeah.
When people vote,
market research.
Yeah. So Smotrich represents a feature on a graph. that is used to determine the will of the people. He's not a real right winger. Nobody's real. Nobody's real. There's no. If you're in government, if you're given any sway in government, you're not real. Okay. So that's no. It's just the Baruch Goldstein story always upsets me very greatly. And by the way, folks, let me spell it out. Baruch Goldstein, he killed all of these men that were claimed that they were peaceful worshipers. It was all young men fighting age that decided to go on Purim, coincidentally, with the flyer, right? It was what the flyer had on it. Okay. And then he shot them and they were completely unarmed. And then he shot himself, but somehow the bullet that killed him was completely different and could not have been used in the rifle that he brought. And it was claimed that he committed suicide. So obviously the Arabs shot back at him. Why were they armed?
No, they beat
peaceful worshipers.
No, they wrote that they beat him. He was beaten to death. That's what the official.
There was listen, I'm telling you the way it was told to me that there was actually that he was shot.
Okay.
That actually there was some kind of suicide thing.
Interesting.
There was a claim of that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to read about it.
I mean, I just read the Wikipedia and all that stuff. So, which is from like articles from mainstream articles.
Guy looks so familiar. I'm looking at him.
Goldstein? Yeah. Listen, he went to YU. He went to Einstein College of Medicine. Doctor, man. He was a doctor.
Veneration by extremists. While mainstream Jewish religious leaders, including the chief rabbis of Israel, rejected the suggestion that killing Palestinians was authorized by the Torah, some extreme. Oh man, you know what? Everything is just a loaded statement. I'm not even going to read the Wikipedia shit. It's so many layers of caca here.
Yep. Can I read to you an article about just to so you get a taste of what's going on about the Israeli election?
Hang on, hold on a second. Wait. I have a note here. Second. So when they did forensics, supposedly, allegedly, of what actually went down there, there's like supposed to be an investigation, right? Like rounds were fired, right? There was supposedly there was. So for some reason they found this is what I'm starting to remember now. They found bullet holes everywhere, right? They extracted the slugs. Okay. And they found multiple calibers. Okay. So if he came there with one rifle to do this, how come there were so many different calibers found in this gunfight?
Yeah.
That's what it was. That was the question. Because they were armed. Both sides were armed. They were shooting back at him. And the question is, why do they have guns? Right? That's really what it came down to. What were they planning to do with these guns? Anyway, that whole part of the investigation was completely ignored. But everybody locally knows about it. If you're there, and if you ever visit that area and you speak to the locals, right? Ask about him and see what they tell you.
Yeah.
All right, continue. Sorry.
So here's an article, I guess from yesterday. 1 second. It's called "One Anti-Netanyahu Party Below the Threshold Would Almost Certainly Hand Him Victory," meaning that right now they're polling below the threshold. As the election race enters the final straight, religious Zionism becomes a problem for Likud, Yesh Atid courts female voters, Gantz. So they're talking about all the different things. But here we go. I'm just going to read a portion of this article. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, the right. The situation on the right is fairly straightforward, with 4 established parties, all well clear of the 3.25% threshold. For the 2 Haredi parties, Shas and United Torah Judaism, the closing strategy, as ever, will be about voter mobilization alongside an attempt to win back some of the younger voters who may have migrated to religious Zionism. Yeah, there's all these young Haredim who are becoming Kahanists, as predicted. As we noted last week, the Haredi parties are currently polling, whatever. What is interesting on the right is a developing battle between Likud and religious Zionism, or more accurately, between Netanyahu and Itamar Ben-Gvir, the Otzma Yehudit leader who is number 2 behind Bezalel Smotrich on the joint religious Zionism slate. This tension was seen at a post-Sukkot event, get this, in Kfar Chabad on Monday night. This is like they had one day Yontiv, so where Netanyahu waited awkwardly off camera for Ben-Gvir to leave the stage so as to avoid being photographed with him so close to the election and infuriating the latter. This seemingly trivial matter is symbolic of a greater divergence of interest between the two men. From Netanyahu's perspective, despite having used so much political capital to ensure the existence of the religious Zionism party in its current composition, because he made them make peace with each other, he now sees its growth from 6 seats in the outgoing Knesset and 9 at the beginning of the campaign to 13.3 today as a threat. That's right, because people are tired of terrorist attacks. Hello. For Ben-Gvir and his populist insurgency. By the way, the guys who write this article are like pollsters for Meretz. So you can... This campaign represents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to catapult himself to the top tier of Israeli politics. As other right-wing parties have found, such as Shas, which won 17 seats in 1999, Israel Beiteinu 15 in 2009, and Jewish Home 12 seats in 2013, the sharp rise is usually followed by a pretty steep decline, so there's a strong temptation to strike while the iron is hot. In practice, this means that Ben-Gvir is seeking to maximize his own party's vote share rather than to grow the bloc as a whole. This week, religious Zionism has talked of canceling Netanyahu's trial and of seeking senior ministerial portfolios, including notably the defense ministry, messages that it hopes will continue to grow its support. Smotrich also unveiled a full-fledged proposal to overhaul the judicial system. This presents a problem for Netanyahu. Not only might religious Zionism's drive for maximal support cause leakage from the right flank of Likud, but more significantly, it could well cause damage to the bloc by pushing away the critical soft right voters he is seeking to woo. Importantly, its leader's statements also serve as the dream mobilization tool for anti-Netanyahu bloc. Indeed, few things can mobilize anti-Net and Bibi voters more than the prospect of canceling his trial or of a far-right MK like Ben-Gvir, who has been deemed too extreme to even be allowed to serve in the army, occupying the critical defense ministry portfolio. Likud has therefore sought to push back on these messages, looking to stick with its mamlachti, statesman-like approach aimed at the soft right. In this, it is hoping to replicate its 2013 strategy, in which it won back a number of seats from the Jewish Home Party in the final days, when fears of the extreme views of some Jewish Home candidates came to light, and Likud was seen as the more moderate, safer bet. In the end, though, this ultimately is an internal clash which probably will not affect the overall outcome. As the graph below shows, Likud and religious Zionism combined have polled extremely steadily throughout this campaign at between 44 and 45 seats. Religious Zionism's growth has had almost no impact on the overall picture, and the same would likely be true were it to be reversed in the next 9 days. So, this is astounding. Just astounding. It's like pointless. The whole thing is pointless.
It's pointless. Okay, it tells the evil Erev Rav, right? That what the people want and feel. That's all. Now they just have to figure out a way to manipulate it.
Yeah.
And they have their actors in place to do so.
Yeah. Astounding. Yeah, my friends are like, "Are you coming to it? Are you going to come to Israel just to vote?" I'm like, do you have any other inventive ways for me to waste my time and waste my money? I mean, I love Israel. Don't get me wrong. I love being, I technically live there, but figure out more. It's like I had my boss in my trading firm, Greg. Figure out more inventive ways to make money. Can these guys figure out more inventive ways for me to waste my time? I can.
Disgusting.
It's just, I love them.
We sound like we sound like bitter exes right now.
Yeah.
Of somebody. Understand? Like, like there's always, not always, but very often there's a relationship. It ends. One of the exes has been humiliated.
Yeah.
Has been cheated on, has been humiliated, has been manipulated. And when they realize the level at which they were betrayed, it's like they sound like us. They sit at bars and bitch about, except in our case, we're talking about, the wonderful government, supposed government.
Yeah. So some people would say, if you're pissed off about it, why don't you go in and change it? Why don't you join it and change it?
No. Okay. First of all, what I'd say to them is,
it's a rhetorical. It's a
but what we're doing right now is trying to change it.
Yeah.
And there is no changing it from the inside. They don't let people like us inside.
Yeah. And I know that for a fact, because I ran with what's called World Zionist Congress, which is like affiliates, like non-governmental affiliates of these parties, be it Likud or whoever else. I know that when I come with my ideas, I know it for a fact.
We have to change it from the outside. We don't have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to be grassroots. It has to be popular movement, Not violent. Only if somebody tries to come kill us.
Yeah, but that's not violence.
No.
Self-defense.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, generally speaking, we gotta.
Our job is to make our people understand that they are going to come for you.
Yeah.
You have to be armed. Don't go to them.
Yeah.
Know that they're going to come to you and fight back. That's it. Don't participate in anything that they want you to participate in. Don't go.
Yeah.
Don't get any shots.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Don't watch what they want you to watch. Don't listen to what they want you to listen to. Yeah. And don't put stuff in your body that they want you to put into your body. Yeah. That's all you got to do. And also, you have to buy some guns and be ready for when they come for you.
Yeah.
That's not violent. They're violent.